Yo, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Climbing the Ladder, episode 32. I'm your host, ChanmanV, and joining me as always, Mark and John. What's going on, fellas? Life, oh boy. Well, hanging out with us today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Mr. mouzKaelaris to the show. What's up, James?
I'm good, thank you.
Doing all right, Thanks for coming on the show, given that you just got in from all the traveling from ESL. So.
Already, James wins the award for coolest accent on the show. And the most hair.
And the most hair.
Maybe.
Thank
What
you.
is this? John, are you into this or something? Or what is this? Is this something I don't know about?
What? What are you talking about?
I don't know. What?
All right. He says he can't hear anyone.
No,
Okay.
we got it. They can hear you guys now. But, all right, so what we're doing today, guys, originally we were just going to do a big old AMA or Ask Us Anything episode, but then James said Kaelaris said he'd come on and hang out with us a little bit, so I figured we just, given that he was at IEM Singapore, we just at least talk to him a little bit about that and just see how things went there and, how I guess Grubby had an effect on him and that sort of thing.
Oh, for God's sakes. Give me a fucking break. Are you serious?
Hey,
It's
whoa.
true.
Oh, my God. I mean, how many Reddit posts was there about this shit? It's like, literally, IEM Singapore wouldn't even have made Reddit, period. Dude, if my
Wait a
player
minute.
Golden had won IEM Singapore, nobody would have even fucking cared. Grubby goes there, makes the finals, and everybody's like, oh!
Yeah, but
I don't disagree.
that's
It's retarded,
Seriously?
dude. It's
But that's
retarded.
true. I mean,
It's because
that's-
it makes for a good story, right? Like, he's
Yeah.
a fan favorite, and he's been around forever, so it's about, well, I guess, technically to some people it's about time he tries to make it big in a tournament, and he almost did.
I'm all baller for Grubby, man. You know what? And we passed on Sting last month, so I was like, well.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, he was looking, I mean, there was times when I watched him in TSL4 and I was just like, well, this guy's just like mega cheesy and not really that good.
Yeah.
But actually, he looked really good at IEM Singapore. Like, he was playing really scrappy, but it just somehow worked in the end. It was really quite strange, but yeah.
They're saying they can't hear anyone but you, Chan.
let's hear it.
I think Grubby's the bomb, dude. I do think Grubby's the bomb.
Never
I
mind.
think
No, they can hear us.
he's like a huge marketing instrument, and he's a huge legacy player, But I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, it's just like I just thought it was funny. Like, I don't think I've ever seen so many Reddit posts about the same shit. It's like
Maybe
like,
it's because
But that's
I
nobody
usually
was
post-
expecting that from him. though.
usually post
I
in
don't-
our StarCraft, but now I'm posting in eSports because Grubby.
I mean, for
Yeah, but that's,
argument's sake, did you see the games, Mark?
yeah. It's
No, man, I didn't see the games, dude. I was too busy watching our players not make it out of their groups in Dreamhack.
man.
All right.
we have got depressed Mark on the show today. Man. Holy shit. Okay, so Kaelaris, I'll have the discussion with you. I mean,
All
those
right,
games
all right.
were awesome. I mean, Grubby was playing really, really well, and I agree with you, Mark. Obviously there are certain players that get, that get a lot more attention on Reddit. Whenever they're doing well, but I mean, there's something to be said for that. There's like, let's just say Grubby does do well. All of a sudden, let's say Grubby, wins a tournament. I mean, doesn't that have a large effect on? I don't know. It doesn't have not a large effect, but doesn't it have some effect on our industry? If somebody's super popular,
I think
does
the cool
well?
part about Grubby is that he's like, you know what? I'm going to cast, and I'm going to play, and I'm going to do well. Booyah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's pretty baller.
I mean, every time I've cast with him, he always says it like improves his playing because he can get a bit more of an insight into like actually seeing both sides from it and actually properly looking into it and analyzing it right there on the fly. And it kind of helps him out a bit. But I mean, if you go back to the games though, like I don't know, it almost seems as if like the last 2 or 3 series he played during that tournament, he he like goes 2-0 down to make the story better. It was just for the round of 8 and then the semifinals were just like perfect stories. And if he'd have won the final, it would have made the dream tournament in my opinion. But maybe I'm slightly biased in this. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, if Grubby didn't do well, Singapore wouldn't have gotten nearly as much attention. So I think it was a great great scenario that he made the finals, and I mean he very close. I mean he almost won the thing. I mean, in fact, like it was really really close that he.
It's almost like the David Beckham story for Major League Soccer in a sense. I mean, people know who David Beckham is. They really respect him. Well, some people respect him. They really like him, and so he comes over to the United States and plays in the MLS, and he does really well. And by doing so, and he brings a lot of eyeballs to MLS, and it raises. I don't know if it raises the play overall, but it raises the awareness of what Major League Soccer was. So I imagine in this case, it was nice to have Grubby doing so well because so many people were tuning in just to see. I mean, I'll be honest with you. As soon as I saw that Grubby, and I just check the Liquipedia. I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to like watch the matches, but I kept checking Liquipedia, and as soon as I saw him in the championship, I was like, "What the?" And then I found out that he was replacing someone who didn't go, so he wasn't even originally invited to come there, and I thought it was a great story. It would have been awesome had he won, but.
Of course, next year that won't happen because there's a collaboration between ESL and Dreamhack and MLG. So those two events probably won't happen the same weekend. But then again, there'll be 16 MLG events, 38 Dreamhack events, and 42 IEM events. So who knows? We might have a different. Yeah, we might have a different event every day. In fact.
Come on, Mark.
God damn it.
Exactly. We're gonna have 100 events next year by doing 3 organizations.
It just grows exponentially.
Then those companies just shut down and after the year.
They're like, hey, I won't plan for Monday. You guys can plan for Tuesday, okay?
Guys, I won't complain. I'll have a lot to cast. I'll be busy.
I know, exactly.
ChanmanV says like he's rolling, bro.
He's like, yeah, that's good for me, man. Good for me.
Good times. Good times.
No,
But no, like
Game
the
4,
games-
Game 4 Slivko, man. That was
Oh,
one
God.
of the highlights for me, at least.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, okay, so highlights for people that didn't see it in total is Game 4, like you said, between Slivko, and then Game 5, obviously, against MC, because that was just the most ridiculous PvP. And then, but yeah, Game 4 against Slivko. To sum that up, it basically went from 0 to 100 in 100 miles an hour in the space of 5 seconds. There was like armies moving around in the middle of the map, and then all of a sudden Grubby was hitting 4 locations at any given time, just instantly. It was actually the best game I've ever seen Grubby play.
Yeah,
Definitively.
me too.
Yeah, Grubby's pretty good, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? I thought he was gonna be a wash up when he lost the Steel Series and everybody was all like down on Grubby and everything. Remember? And then like all of a sudden, dude, he just like got his shit together and started practicing a lot, I guess. And he just kind of came out of nowhere and just he just made us all look bad. And we're just like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out that like a few small, a few kind of details, in regards to this. And one of the things was Grubby did talk about. I mean, maybe it was to you, James, that he felt like recently he was able to kind of take a step back and really evaluate the game a little in a different way.
Yeah.
And he kind of recognized a few things that I guess he wasn't doing before, and seemed to have an impact on this tournament, his play in this tournament. And secondly, just the way Grubby reacts after he wins. I mean, it just causes an emotional response. I feel like from like me or any other.
It's because he has a personality, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And because he's like universally accepted as hot.
Dude,
Doesn't help. Doesn't hurt,
that
right?
has nothing to do with why I have emotional
No,
response.
like
man.
for me,
And
it's,
come on, you're good looking and you have a sense of swagger and you have confidence and you know how to get a reaction from the fan base. Like, obviously, you're an entertainer, right? He's like a perfect blend between skill and entertainment. I think, really, ultimately.
So he's like the super nerd. He's
Dude,
like
there's nothing. Is there anything nerdy about it? I don't think he's nerdy.
He plays video games.
Well,
Does that make us all
whatever.
nerdy?
Okay, Artosis. Okay, Artosis. All these nerd ballers out there in the crowd. Never seen so many nerds before.
Oh my goodness. James, you're gonna say something?
I was gonna say that like for Grubby, I mean, it's not really just the entertainment factor. Like he's legit happy because I know Grubby really well now after casting with him so much, and we've become really good friends. So like when he wins that, he is that legit happy. He was so happy when he beat MC, and because of that, and because I knew how happy he was, that's why I reacted how I did on the cast. So because I don't know if Mark or John saw it or anything like that.
I
but
didn't see it. I want to see it. Someone link me.
basically,
Yeah.
like, long story short, like, after he beat MC, because I knew that this was a big deal to him. I knew that this was going to be potentially, for him to actually go on and win the whole tournament, which he almost did. So after he won, I was speaking and the camera wasn't on us, but I just started to well up. I literally just started to well up on cast, and then the camera, Artosis was talking, and he looked over to me, and I just told him to keep going, because I couldn't say anything without just getting a bit way too emotional about it. Because again, he's a really, really good friend. So there's this awkward moment of the camera coming back to me and me looking away from the camera and looking all kind of shy and coy. And Artosis just talks for the longest time. So if he'd have won the tournament, I probably would have cried pretty bad on camera. So
I'm sure he would have cried.
Oh yeah, too true. But after the MC games, he went over to sign for fans and stuff like that. Cassandra, she was waiting behind my camera as I was finishing up, and then we went to commercial breaks, and she gave me a hug, and I went over to Grubby and I gave him a huge hug, and it was all just, there was so much emotion that wasn't
love
captured.
fest.
It was, Mark. Yes.
It was a love fest.
Do you feel
if there was a way for people, I'm not going to go there. Anyhow.
That's good though. That's what
Come on.
esports needs a lot more
Yeah,
of. Specifically, StarCraft 2. It needs a lot more emotion,
nerds.
whether it's an angry old Mark or a happy Grubby and an
God damn it.
emotional James.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it too. I might sound like a freaking
No, John, that's
cheeseball.
bullshit. I'm just kidding.
I might sound like a cheese ball, but James, you getting emotional there actually added, I think, to the whole moment of Grubby winning too, because there was a huge contrast between you and Artosis. With you, I could see you were in the moment, and it actually meant something to you. When Artosis, I felt like that in that period, and he had to kind of take the slack and talk a lot there, but I felt like it was no big deal to him because he's seen so many big matches, so he's just kind of, in a way, just kind of immune to some of this. But the next day, I kind of saw Artosis kind of getting a little bit more, fired up, especially with Grubby doing well. So
Okay.
yeah.
We were hot this weekend. We were this is the first time we've ever cast together, right? So we were on fire with each other. I knew it would always go well when I would cast with him, but the last 2 days when we realized that Grubby was actually verging on taking this tournament, both of us were kind of really, really excited about it, and we were just both really happy to actually be casting these games because they were so good. I mean, okay, so they weren't necessarily the highest level of play ever.
Right.
Apart from Game 4 was.
See, I think the same thing can be created with State and
agree.
Vibe and Scarlet and I mean, I don't know, man. I think
So
if we
what we're
don't put it on a
saying
second stream that's running it tandem to some fucking major tournament event with 15 Koreans in it, maybe people would watch it. Of course, then again, they'd have to go on a Wednesday though.
Well, it's like saying the Packers versus the Bears in the NFL would be a really good game, right? Two really good teams, and they're going to play. But maybe there's a game on another channel that has a lot more emotion to it. It has a better storyline. It means more. To me, I'd turn it to that. I mean, even if you had an opportunity to watch the Bears versus the Packers and see a really good football team.
Well, I mean, let's also be honest here. I mean, this was opposite the bar none. I'm just gonna go out here and say it, right? The most underwhelming DreamHack event to date. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what it was about this DreamHack. I never thought that I could watch a DreamHack that didn't wow me, but this one did not wow me. I don't know why. It's not like they did significant things different. Maybe it's just that, I mean, after WCS Europe was so good, and there were so many perfect things about that event that I was just I don't know. Everything was just rolling on by, man. Every result was predictable.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't any crazy result. There weren't any players that were making, I think, just crazy amazing runs. And
it was DreamHack Winter in Sweden. The Europeans basically,
didn't do
So
it.
how do we pull stories out of stuff like that? I mean,
I don't know.
Sometimes it's just luck, John. Sometimes there's no stories end up manifesting themselves. And so
well, if the players had more emotion, like Grubby, if you watched an event in which every player had the same sort of emotion as Grubby, whether it would be good or bad, to me, that would be a 10 times more exciting event than watching
You
a bunch
remember
of top players sit there like robots and play
like
each other.
Flash?
Yeah, but you
Just
have
looks
to.
like he's about to like
Yeah,
go on this football scrimmage line.
yeah.
I
Actually,
swear, Flash needs some of those black things underneath his eyes, so like, you can't tell which way he's looking. You know, it's like
exactly. So that's the thing. But we're talking about Flash. I mean, everybody's talking about Flash because he's the best player. And actually, some folks in the stream are saying Manchi. Yes, Manchi did have a great run in DreamHack, but nobody knows Manchi except for like a few people, which is
I know, Munchie.
unfortunate. Yeah, me too. But it's just
Yeah.
unfortunate, that's the case. So not many people will talk about that story. But I mean, DreamHack. I mean, was it me or was there? I mean, even like the sound. Was there? Like, was the stream like plugged to the board? Because it sounded like an echo like the entire time. I don't know. It could have been just me, but I felt like there was just even something with the sound.
I didn't get to watch any of it, like, obviously, but I haven't been able to watch the VODs either. Was it really as underwhelming as everyone says it is? Was it really... Everyone says it was a snooze fest. Like, is that really how it was? Or
I mean,
is it just...
there
I think the
people
bottom
didn't
line is
support
there's
it?
a bunch of big names that didn't make it out of the groups, and everybody's just like, okay, blah.
Yeah? Alright.
Well, I mean, there weren't obviously Stefano didn't make it out of the group, so his storyline's completely gone, and Inertio actually was starting to get a run, and then he just got the door slammed on him by Tasia. Like Inertio got through Frere and Mana, which are great wins, right? And then he just like got 3-0'd by Tasia after that, and then Snoot had a good run too, and then he got 3-0'd by Hero. So there was just no European contingency really.
Sase
Sase, where was Sase? I didn't even.
didn't make it out of the group.
Yeah, he didn't even make it out of the group. Yeah, so that's kind of what ended up happening. Like in the end, it was Tasia versus Hero, and even the finals was kind of like underwhelming because Hero just crushed him. So.
Liquid versus Liquid.
Yeah, well, Liquid versus Liquid was probably the biggest story. That was the closest thing to a story is having two Team Liquid players.
So if you
play
have
each other.
Liquid versus Liquid, you end up with a solid.
No, you end up with a.
Oh, this just liquid.
A gas?
Exactly.
A gas? That's horrible. It sounds bad.
Weren't they gonna be? Weren't they gonna split the teams into Liquid? It was like team.
Wasn't that like an April Fools, like liquid, a solid, and a gas?
Exactly.
Like, for all the
Team solid,
viscosities.
team gas, team. But one thing's for sure, though, when you have Liquid versus Liquid, you end up getting a different background for TeamLiquid.net, which was it had Hero
Right, I
Tasia
noticed
in the
that. I
background,
noticed that.
which is kind of cool, I guess. You got to use your marketing abilities to your, to your advantage, obviously. But
Yeah, we need
But you-
more teams to do that.
yeah. Anyways, that was DreamHack, it was. Yeah, there's not too much to talk about, unfortunately, but yeah. So, anyways, why don't we? I don't know. You guys want to talk any? You
Well,
talk
I
about
mean,
IPL
there's
at all,
more to
or-
DreamHack than just StarCraft, right?
Oh yeah. We can talk about
Yeah.
Quake. We can talk about Quake and.
No, I mean, it's okay. Mostly people
can.
watching here. I mean, the Quake was really good, actually,
I didn't
um,
actually catch
and-
any of it, so.
until the finals. But
Was it Rafa and people, as usual? Or...
yeah, it was Rafa and this guy named Killer, which I'm actually not familiar with.
No,
I believe
nor am
he's a European, but I'm a huge Rafa fan, and he made it to the finals game, which would have been nice to see him win, but he didn't. So
Who
When
beat
you're-
him? The killer? Or...
yeah,
Who?
something like that.
Huh.
No, we did not talk about Pro League. Somebody asked.
Rafa
No,
never
we didn't
loses.
talk about Pro League. I don't know if we will talk about Pro League.
And then,
$100,000 to enter Pro League. I mean,
To enter the Pro League,
yeah. I mean, if you want to,
Wow.
get your team into Pro League,
Mhm.
that's right, Mark? You have to.
I don't know, man. Who
the
knows,
buy-in.
dude?
I
did
think
you
it was
pony up, Mark? Did you guys pony up?
Who knows?
The 100 grand up?
You're right. Hey,
You
man.
could
Hey,
take
you
a
know
second
what?
mortgage out on the gaming house.
On the gaming house, man. Right on, dude. Yeah. You know what, man? Like, I was surprised too that what's that team snatched the Dota 2 championship from EG. NTH.
Yeah, NTH. I think it's NTH, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, NTH. I mean, EG's team had an awesome run, though, I have to say. But yeah, couldn't quite pull it off in the end, unfortunately.
This is
But,
the problem with being a commentator. I want to watch all these StarCraft tournaments and the Dota tournaments and even the Quake stuff, but I can't because I'm...
Hey, look at the bright side, though, right? The good part about EG being in the Pro League, if it is EG, is like,
If
like
it is EG.
what's going to happen there? I mean, are they just going to get rolled?
Nice. Who knows? Maybe they'll announce some pickups that will surprise us.
Maybe.
Of course they will.
But let's see. Some people are talking about IPL 5. So is your team going to be at IPL 5, Mark? For
Oh
league?
yes,
Okay.
not for league, no.
Oh, not
They
for
didn't
league.
qualify.
Oh, I thought I was going. Yeah.
They were nominated for the wild card match, but they lost.
Ah, okay. So you going to be in Vegas or no?
No, I'm not.
No.
Nope.
All right. But
Ian will be there though.
Who will?
Ian. My
Is,
co-owner.
I
You
heard.
should send me. I'll do some content for you.
I heard Garrett's doing all the the interviews again. Is that for you guys?
Yeah,
Or?
Garrett and Pink.
Oh, and Pink's going to be doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Living Pink
Uh-huh.
Gen. That's good. That's good. Yeah, so IPL 5 should be interesting. I mean, I think I want to see Thursday whenever IPL is on the front page of IGN. That's the one of the big things I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah.
See what it looks
Been nice
like.
to see how much of a pickup they get from it, but
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I want to see? I want to see IPL just all of a sudden, like this weekend, just do this absolutely transformative, jaw-dropping event that just totally makes ESL and MLG and Dreamhack look like total idiots.
Oh boy.
That's what I would
Why?
Oh,
say.
boy.
I'm curious as to why you say that. I mean,
Yeah.
I
there's
would
reasons
love to
behind
see
it.
that. Well, yeah, because the whole, like,
Why?
well, I mean, because there's always been this running feud between MLG and IPL, and you know that if there's any kind of, like, league
Yeah.
or association that, the MLG is not going to want to include IPL. So I just think it'd be so sick if IPL did this, like, event that made them absolutely, like, there's no way you could, like, not include them or something,
I think
love
IPL
upsets,
was
man.
approached though, right?
Yeah, IPL was already approached. I mean, they.
Like about that, the association stuff. That's what I know at least.
Apparently, they were going to talk again this week about it or something.
No, I think they have like an open offer, like 6 months later to join or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something. David
Well, that's
mentioned it
shit,
last.
man. That
He was
totally
on here.
invalidates my whole hype thing, man. What are you guys doing to me here?
I'm so sorry.
Damn.
We were
Too
waiting.
much.
To,
There's
No,
story-
but I think they do have a chance to just do just a phenomenal event with a lot of new technology and a lot of new, just like a really new production setup. So, they're going to be using their own streaming setup here. So it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be interesting. It's a little risky, but if
Very
if
risky.
they pull it off, it's going to be amazing, I think, for them. So, the tournament brackets, I don't know if you've seen them. They look pretty awesome. So.
they changed.
Yeah, they changed a little bit. I don't think they added some GSL folks. I don't know, but regardless, it's like every single round is going to be amazing. So
I think, like, especially after that last tournament that they had for that Team League thing between Liquid and IM, I think it was. Especially after that, I really think that they need to do something.
It was StarTel and
Good.
IM, bro.
Was it StarTale IM? Dude, I can't remember.
5-1.
but yeah, it was StarTale. StarTale's just kicking ass right now.
I love you, James.
mean-
Pretty sure that was Liquid IM.
no, you're
Alright.
thinking of you're thinking of the
The IPTL.
Yeah, that thing. But again, that's the last IPL thing I remember, right? So
It's the last
Yeah.
one I remember too. Are we talking
yeah.
the one
And
where
it was
they had?
bad.
It
So
was
they need to
really
redeem.
bad.
They did not
Yeah.
get. I did not get Rickrolled, Weedmans. My sister team rolled IM. Is what happened, bro.
I,
Just to set the record straight.
I mean, I
My
think
sister team is not IM
we're talking
anymore.
about two different events.
Starts off for a long time, bro.
So
We're talking. I mean, I think James is talking about. It was the event that Hero was just sitting at the computer forever afterwards, right?
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
one
that
you're
one.
talking about, yeah.
yeah.
And I think Mark,
But
you're
that
talking
left a
about
bad taste in my
different-
mouth, for IPL stuff. So
Yeah.
that's why I want to see them do better.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the whole caster challenge thing? I think that's going to roll out. Or like,
Oh,
Yeah, what do you think of that, actually, Kalaris?
I have.
Uh-oh.
There's so much wrong with it. They're like
Yeah.
going back and forth on what they're saying about stuff, and then like they said that they were. What did they say initially? They said that they were like taking the guy who finished his top to IPL, or was it always top four?
It was top four.
It was always top four.
Yeah.
All right, but then there's some guy now from the top 8 or something like that who didn't make top 4 but is still going anyway. And
Really?
the other,
I didn't know.
yeah. I'm gonna find. I think it's like Jay Morrow or something. Like,
So
I
it just
I
seemed
didn't know that.
messy. It seemed messy and not legitimate to you. That's kind of what you're
Yeah.
saying, right? Just a
I'm
little
kind of
messy, the
confused about the whole
process.
thing. Like, I took to like look at the whole round of 16 and give it like feedback and see who I thought was the best. And I thought like the one particular guy was a lot more entertaining than all the rest. And I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And then I kind of feel like cheated out of my vote because this guy is apparently going without being top 4. And I mean, what's the point in it?
Quantic Promise is saying that J Morrow and Shamtu are going, and they didn't make the top 8. So there's 6 people going. Somehow 2 guys that didn't even make
Completely
the top 8.
invalidated it. They completely
Doesn't make any
invalidated it.
sense.
Well, I mean, like it depends. So there's still an award. I mean, there's still a prize for the person that ends up winning, right? In the
I
end,
guess
or-
so.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean, like, seriously, if you're promised and you made it all the way to like the top 8, right?
Mhm.
And then you're like, these other 2 guys get selected who didn't make the top 8.
I think whoever makes the like top 4 though, and whoever ends up getting picked anyway, this is a really odd way of actually picking like a full-time showcaster, because there's a huge difference actually between being a showcaster, like in actual proper huge tournaments on stage, and casting a YouTube video, right? But some people
Right.
crumble. I mean, so
Right.
they're gonna have whoever they end up picking up. Chances are they're still gonna have that period where they're like doing showcasts, and they're gonna have a little bit of a hard time. And they're probably
Maybe
gonna
that's
have to
why
save
I'll
up
tune
quite a
in.
bit.
But
just
it's
to see
giving. I mean,
what
but it's
happens.
giving
We should've
somebody
had-
an opportunity, though, right? I
You should have had
that's really
CSN
the
run it,
point.
man. If CSN had run it, it would have been perfect.
Oh, stop it. you are baiting me.
Oh, the question Q&A is coming up soon, guys. So, but yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks if that's what they're doing. But I still think in general, I think it's good to give somebody an opportunity that would never have an opportunity, because
I agree.
there's not
That's
a lot
what-
of.
it-
There's
It would have
not
been
a
cool
lot
if it had been
of-
ChanmanV up there, man.
Dude, please,
That would have
man.
been sick.
Can't cast for shit,
Sick.
dude. I'll
That's
say
not
that
true.
right
I
now.
think you can cast well.
I can talk about the game like plenty, but as a caster, I mean, James just make me look foolish, man.
Oh, stop.
But he's a lot better looking than you too, and Mark
I
says
give him
that's
that,
important.
man. I can't, no flock of seagull hair for me,
Is
so.
this seagulls? Oh my god! You've been talking to Carmack too much.
Actually, I was trying to get him on, but Carmack's exhausted.
I can imagine. I
Yeah.
can imagine he runs around 24/7 when we're at events.
What was up with his shorts and shirt at the event, dude? Holy smokes!
Nothing is
Carmack.
better than hobbling Carmack, angry hobbling Carmack across the event. I'm gonna get that guy. Poor guy.
Oh, man.
So have you seen his wrath yet? Have you seen him get pissed off at something? Kaelaris?
No, I can imagine he could get really pissed off if he wanted to, but no, I haven't witnessed this. The wrath of Hobbleback.
It's good.
yeah.
it's funny.
Good. It's
Yeah.
good.
All right. Okay.
But he gets straight to the
Oh,
point.
wait, Axel
which is good,
Toss
too.
missed
He's
the
like,
IPL
"You're done."
talk, man. I'm sorry, Axel.
Alex missed the IPL talk. We didn't talk too much. Actually, is he there? Actually, is
He is
talking?
here. He's in the thing, yeah.
All right, good deal, man.
My man. My man.
My man.
My man.
Awesome. All right, why don't we start the questions? Any of you guys have questions for any of us? Start peppering the Reddit thread, adding me on Skype. You want to call it in? My Skype ID is ChanmanV.
Hey,
Yeah.
before we start taking questions, though, while they're warming up,
Yeah.
I got to show off these new headphones, okay? Because I don't know, a couple shows ago I was talking, we had Chris
Chris
from
Mitchell.
Razer, correct? Yeah.
Chris Mitchell. Yep.
And he actually genuinely seemed upset, which he probably should have been, that I didn't have any Razer gear yet.
Yeah,
And
he
so
was
they sent,
kind of sponsored by
they
Razer
sent me
at the
some,
time.
and these things are, and I told him it was all about comfort, and these things are really nice, actually. I can't remember.
I've got the same ones.
Oh my god.
The
Oh my
Magnum.
god.
Second
Look who's in the chat. Look who's in the chat.
It's the
Who?
Bows,
Axel
right?
Toss?
The boss.
The boss?
Come see me on my live stream. I'm so looking for the chat, the whole chat to go boss. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead about your headphones, John. Those are sick headphones. I have a pair just
No,
like
they are really nice, though, actually. And I wouldn't put them on and wear them and promote them if I didn't think they were nice, but they are really nice. And so I wanted to thank Razer for sending those over. And then a side story, and this is odd because they're competing companies. So I told the story, or on Twitter, I told a story about my 5-year-old daughter. I came home from Lone Star Clash, and I brought her home one of those. TT Esports has like a blow-up hammer. And I brought it home. I showed it to her. She loved it. 2 seconds later, our Rottweiler puppy decided he was going to sink it. She was going to sink her teeth into it. So it ruined that. I put it on Twitter, and just today I got a full box of goodies from TT Esports, like all sorts of, well, technically they're stupid little promotional things like swag. So she's going to have like 3 hammers, a sword, and all sorts of stupid stuff.
My kids loved the hammers. They were just beating the shit out of each other, like when I got home with them.
Whoa!
No,
Wait a minute.
the little
Well, they're
blow-up
blow-up
They're
hammers.
blow-up hammers, Jesus.
Chris, you have kids?
Hey,
Me?
John.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Dude, I got 3 kids.
He's
How
40
old are you?
years old, Matt.
Dude, I'm like,
Okay.
I'm older than Mark, and nobody knows
Can
that.
you hear me? Can
No,
you hear
you're
me?
not.
I am
Yes.
older than Mark.
We're ignoring you.
Okay, cool.
And nobody,
I think I
nobody knows.
slipped
Everybody
my
thinks I'm this like
mute on.
22-year-old kid or something.
I thought you were like a student. I'm not even joking.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
You're the
I don't
youngest
think
one in
anybody
here.
could be older than me, dude. Nobody could be older than me. I have 3 kids. Yes, I have 3 kids.
Yeah, he has 3 kids too, but I'm actually older than him.
But dude, like, so John gave me these little Twitch clappers, you know, little like balloon thingies that go.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
He gave me those. He gave those things to my daughter at the Lone Star Clash too. So my daughter comes home yesterday and she picks them up and she claps them, claps them, claps them, and she looks at me and she goes, "Daddy, I love Twitch.
Nice.
So I can watch a daddy show."
Why
And
didn't
I
you
was
put
like,
that on
I
a
wish
video?
I could have recorded that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's take some questions here. First question, we're just gonna go down the. Actually, all right, Jeff wants to call in. Let's see what Jeff has to say here.
Oh, God.
Here we go. Mr. Maximus Black has a question.
Or he's just going to troll the show.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, Jeff?
What's up, Jeff?
Hello.
Hey. I actually got a question for Kalaris there. Do you remember back in the day when Like TV first started out, Life's a Glitch TV, and we had emailed you via YouTube to start up some cross promotion?
Mhm.
And we used to kind of chat a little bit. Do you remember those days?
I remember this, man. I remember like you guys had. I remember when you guys were very first starting out, and then I saw how many subscribers you had on YouTube, and I was pissed because I was jealous. I remember this.
Jelly.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I just wanted to come on to just say you're doing a phenomenal job, man. You've made a fan out of me, and I've been watching. I remember when we stopped talking. When Adam and I like finally made it in the StarCraft community, I was like, I wonder what that guy is up to. And then next thing you know, I saw you on the big stages casting, and I said, man, good on him. So congrats, dude, for all your success, and I hope to work with you someday, man.
Thanks, you too, guys. It's crazy how all this stuff's worked out, right? It's
Yeah,
pretty weird.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So you're going to do.
that's all I
So
had.
you're going to start casting, Jeff?
I'm thinking in 2013 you're going to see me somewhere. I'm not going to say where yet, but you're going to see me somewhere.
Oh, that'd be sweet, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can come cast with me. It's okay.
Awesome. What's up, Mark?
Shit.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So, anyways, that's all I had. It wasn't really. I guess it was a question, but I just wanted to say what's up and just keep up the good work, man. You're doing awesome.
You too, guys.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
See ya.
Later. All right, that's a good start. That's a good start.
Actually, I think he'd be a good caster. He'd be funnier than shit, I think. He'd be more like
Such a long time ago that happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
he'd be more like Too Good, I think. I don't know.
He was doing
You
a
heard
little
this.
bit of cat. He used to do those events, like He used to
Dude,
host his own events.
he's a lot more professional than Too Good. Come on.
What?
He used to be really,
Yeah.
he used to be really like sketchy, but he's gotten a lot more professional. Maximus Black's like totally professional now.
Well, I didn't mean in the sense that he wasn't professional. I
It's not
meant
gonna be there like,
Let's
oh my
say
God, that's so
he'd be
whatever.
fun and
I've, like,
Right.
you know, 5 nasty things about people in England or something. I'm like, what? Whatever.
All right, let me go. There's a question on the Reddit thread that somebody posted like earlier today.
What's it say? What's it say?
Where do you feel IPL? Wait. Where do you feel IPL hosted in Vegas ranks among all tournaments? Venue is a big deal. Do you think IPL draws more people because it's in Vegas rather than Columbus? Should more tournaments move to destination type cities like San Francisco, New York, L.A., Boston, San Diego, etc.?
I want to hear your opinion on that.
I think Vegas has something to do with it, but I don't think it's like the main thing. I mean, I think MLG is showing that they can have it in these tiny ass cities, and it's it's still.
Hey, Columbus is not a tiny city.
Dude, Providence, Columbus. I mean, they're not big cities, okay? I mean, they're definitely not destination cities like he's talking about. So,
right.
Could it be bigger? I mean, could it be just more of a spectacle? Sure, but it's going to cost more money if you have them in like Vegas. I don't know how David's having it in the Cosmo. I mean, the Cosmo can't be cheap. It's always been amazing to me that he has it in city center. So,
but
Surely
okay, so
IGN
for
has
instance,
money.
look at it this way, Chris. When we were in Austin for the Lone Star Clash 2, right?
Yep.
You're from Austin, and there's a lot of cool things that you know about in Austin that nobody gets out to explore. Nobody else gets out to see. I can't see it being any different in New York. I mean, those that are going to go out and get in trouble, they'll do it no matter where they're at. So I guess my point is that destination cities, to me, it's just a waste of money. When you can do the same event in Columbus, which is a really nice city, actually, I was quite impressed with it. And you do the same event in Columbus as you can in San Francisco. I guess I just don't. You might as well do it. It's going to cost you half as much to run that event. And since most of the players and the people going to these events, they don't explore the city. They really don't. They don't get out. I mean, are any of them really even 21? Most of them aren't even 21. Maybe it's just me, but I think it can be done pretty much anywhere. I mean, shit, I went to an event in Ottumwa, Iowa. That's a small city. Columbus is not a small city. Ottumwa, Iowa, like 4,000 people in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. And we filled up the city hall and ran an event, and it was successful.
So what do you guys think? Mark, what do you think?
Destination cities for tournaments? How about doing them online, bro?
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of flying people all over the hell and back.
Well,
I
online has
totally
all
agree
those-
there.
yeah.
I think people are too used to offline right now, and they're kind of spoiled with that. If you went back to fully online, people would be like, nah, screw
I'm not
this.
saying fully online. I'm just saying, like, you know what? In my mind, like, I literally could do the MLGs and that's it. If you really want to know how I feel.
And so why MLGs? And
I'm an American team. MLG is an American tournament. I can travel in the continental United States. Oh, by the way,
What about
remember,
IPL?
we have a big fucking country, by the way. Remember that? Maybe IPL, sure.
Yeah.
Do IPL
Alright.
and MLG?
I have a
Vegas
question.
$29,
$29, man. Isn't it?
What
I'm tired
about
of
this
flying to Europe,
collaboration creates a circuit of, let's say, 14 events over the year? Then you don't have to attend the other ones.
That would
Hey,
be
whoa,
sick.
whoa, I have a question. Okay, so currently, I mean, this collaboration thing, because this is probably what's going to end up happening, right, is currently Intel Extreme Masters has all the qualifiers online, right? And then if you qualify, you guarantee yourself like $500 a sum at least, right? Now with that format in place and everyone working together, I'm under the impression that chances are that money across tournaments is going to get a little more spread out as opposed to the Dreamhack bullshit of like top 4 wins everything and then screw everyone else. But so if that kind of tournament structure and pricing system gets adopted by more tournaments, like may end up happening due to the collaboration, are you happy with something like that? Because you qualify online, you do all of the qualification stuff online. There is an open bracket technically, but that's your choice. You can fucking send people to that, who cares, whatever. But most of it's online, and then if you qualify, you get like an instant guaranteed $500, $600.
I say
To go
spread the
towards the
price.
flight.
Spread the price pool out. Oh, wait a minute, John. What did you just say? Wait, what?
Well, it helps.
That's not prize pool, bro. That's actually travel stipend,
Oh,
and that's what I
that's
think we
right.
should do. We should cut the
It's
prize
travel
pools in half, offer a travel stipend, and spread the prize pool out over more people.
Yeah, but what Kaelaris is saying is that, and this is the way they've looked at it, because when I was in IPL, when I was at ESL, it was the same way. When we ran qualifiers for IEM in New York City in 2009, was that the prize money that you win for the online qualifiers is really meant to go towards your travel. But in your case, Mark, when you have a team,
Yeah.
your players are on contract that says whatever prize money you win is yours. So then you're stuck with the travel still.
Well, you
so
do realize
again,
that
I
it's
go back
because
to the idea that maybe
the
some of those
community-
contract ideas should be changed.
Well, I think that it's right. I mean, I think that that's one way to look at it. I mean, but you also have to realize too that, I mean, when you're sending players to tournaments and their travel is dependent on their performance, like that's
Yeah, I mean,
a risk
so
in itself.
yeah, I mean, getting a percentage of the players winning isn't a guaranteed, isn't going to pay the expenses. It's not a guaranteed way of paying expenses. So, I mean, I think the stipend would be better, like a better model for the teams at least.
I think it's a completely perfect model, right? Because look, if you qualify online, right, and you make, let's say, top 8 or top 16 in that qualifier or whatever, right? You make that qualifier, then you have a travel stipend, or even if it's a percentage of the travel or some stipend towards travel or whatever paid for you, right? Depending, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. Like, that completely fits into the business model of the teams that are supporting these players. It allows us to pay the players more salary. It allows us to invest more in their training. It allows us to do all these kinds of things right now we can't do.
Well, I'm really hoping that the collaboration will bring some of that out. I really do.
I think it will.
I'd like to see. I would think that it would. I mean, I'll be on board with most of it, I hope, as long as there's an open component to it. There has to be an open component to it, or it's not a real circuit. It's not a real collaboration, in my opinion, but that's just me. I'm talking open as far as the ability for anyone to have an opportunity to play on the circuit.
Yeah.
Well, everything we do already now is open, so...
Well, you guys, but not everyone else does. And
but
then
again,
some of
there's unified structures that we're working to put together, right? So.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's see. We got another question here on Reddit. It says, do you think the lack of an esports mecca in US and Europe prevents tournaments like NASL, a non-LAN tourney, from being successful? All the great Koreans are in Seoul, so the GSL can have their own controlled environment, whereas NASL and other tournaments have to go off of cross-server play, which adds a lot more uncertainties to play style. I guess the real question is are we suffering because there's no centralized location for esports in America?
I would say people are in terms of skill base, sure. Like skill cap or anything like that. Because, the more condensed the place is, the easier it is to practice, the easier it is to organize everything, the easier it is to get the structure in terms of the team housing going on in Seoul, blah, blah, blah. You can't do that across America and Europe. Everything's too spread out. And if you were to do it, it would be the most radical, drastic changes in the entirety of the foreign industry, right? So, I mean, I don't know how you guys see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you. I don't think it's just not possible. I mean, it feels like some folks are trying to make, like, I guess the LA area, right, a pretty big
Seems pretty good.
esports headquarters, right? Just given that it's on the west coast of the U.S. and I don't know. I mean, regardless of travel is just going to be bad either way. I mean, they have to travel longer to Europe if they live on the west coast. But it's.
I think you'll see some of that, but you'll see pockets of it first. So you'll see, maybe you'll see Austin start to become, a hub for gaming, or the Dallas area, something like that. And you'll see LA and someplace out east, and maybe someplace in the south. And you'll start to see. I mean, I think that'd be great to have an area where teams basically decided, okay, let's just put all our teams in LA, and it would make it. Those teams competing against each other much easier. I don't know. I think you'll start to see more regional growth. I would hope so, because that's the only way esports will grow overall anyway. So,
out of curiosity, is that what they're doing for League in Season 3?
Yeah,
yes.
Kind of what they're doing, yeah.
So, So, like, I guess it's taken the power of the publisher in that essence, in that regard, to actually force that kind of thing. But also, there's limiting factors on that. But I think that's that specific instance that there's limiting factors on that. So, because Riot can be a bit funny about that sort of thing sometimes.
All right, see what other questions we got here. I got a question here that they didn't want me to ask for another 10 minutes, which I guess they must be away from their keyboard or something. Do you see any here, guys? I'm just going through stream chat right now, guys. You guys can call in.
Okay,
Go ahead
well,
and call in
while we're looking for one, since
Yeah.
we had talked about it, and I know that it may have been written some time ago, but Tort, for short, I always have trouble saying this.
Tortellini.
Tortellini, yeah. He wrote Michael Cohen, I guess is his real name. He's been writing these a series of things. And I'll post the link.
Armchair Athleticism is the series.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and it's really good. It's really well laid out, and his latest one is about tournament saturation. He actually pulls from like Wikipedia and shows you all of the tournaments that have happened this year. And granted, like November was hell so far. I mean, how many tournaments do you think we've had? Major tournaments.
Quite a lot.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have to say one of the challenges about getting guests this week for both of my shows is everybody is exhausted
Right.
or busy or just like en route. to somewhere else.
Exhausted?
Yeah.
Screw those guys. I haven't slept for like 50 some hours.
Exactly. That's why. Hey, that's why.
Dude.
That's why you made it.
Like I can sympathize exactly with what he's like saying in terms of the tournament schedule. Just from my own point of view, like I was invited to cast DreamHack Winter, but I couldn't because I had to do IEM Singapore. I was invited to do a load of other stuff at the start of the month, but I couldn't because of other dates and stuff. So, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind the saturation, mind you. I think it's great, but.
Right.
From a caster point of view, it's great. From player point of view, I can see why you get burnt out. And again,
Yeah.
this is why all this unification is going on, to try
Yes.
and have something that's a bit more not insane.
Well, hopefully it's a bit more organized and maybe even more spread out. I mean, everyone must have said, well, November is going to be the perfect month to run 1 million tournaments.
Apparently.
Right.
What do you think? Mark, he hasn't chimed in one time yet. Mark, what do you think of all the events? He's even there.
He's muted. He's muted.
I'm dealing with a Reddit shitstorm that started about team tags and LOL, and it's loads of
Oh,
fun.
really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh.
good stuff. Drama. Somebody did ask
On
a
my way.
question, though. Did you have one already in mind?
What, a question?
Chris?
Well, I have
Yeah.
one here. It's a serious question, but so
David
Well, I have one here
Clarence,
too.
when will you be casted in the next Bond?
What? Who? Where?
When
will
will
I
you
be
be casted in the next Bond movie?
cast in the next Bond movie? Whenever
Well,
somebody
that'd be such a boom
realizes.
for Mouse. It'd be like, my name is Kaelaris. mouzKaelaris.
You could be 009, the
Oh,
arch enemy.
Dude, like, whenever somebody realizes that Daniel Craig is not a good Bond, that's
Hey.
when I.
Do you really think that?
He's too rough around the edges, man. Like, give
Uh.
me a clean-shaven, sophisticated, suave kind
Sean
of guy,
Connery,
not
right?
not
Sean Connery
the
is
shadowy, scary man.
I think
He's-
Craig is good.
I mean, people keep saying it's like harking back to the books and stuff like that, or whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't really care. The movies are, to me, a separate thing entirely. And if I don't have my suave English gent there, then I don't have my James Bond.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So you had another question that you found, John?
Yeah, somebody was asking, and it's an interesting question because it goes back to something I said, that there really aren't teams in StarCraft 2. But they're
boy.
asking, what place do you feel team leagues will have in 2013 compared to normal tournaments, given the fact that we reduce the tournaments a lot? Given the fact that we reduce it. Okay, I don't quite understand the last part, but just asking where team leagues will come into play. Woods' gamer tag is asking that.
Team leagues will come into play.
There needs to be important team leagues.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, IPL's done a good job of consistently having a team league, I guess, here. Obviously, the Koreans have always had their, GSTL, and
then
team-
EG
is there,
does.
is there a big Europe team league? I mean, MCSL too, yeah. But is there a big European one? Like, am I drawing a blank here?
Not really, no.
That's
Not off the top of
surprising,
my head.
actually.
This is one of the reasons, like, when I speak to, maybe this is NDA, I don't care. Like, when I speak to the Mouse guys, like, they're not as super adamant about expanding the team, like, rapidly, because there's not really a need to. I mean, in terms of playing team leagues that are important, there are none right now. So, if a team league comes along that's really important and actually awards some good money, then sure, I think they'd expand. But for now, and it's a shame that there is none, because Team League is actually my favorite format. I think of all kind of things, especially GSTL style format. It's so ridiculously entertaining to watch, in my opinion.
Just curious, because I'm not familiar with it. What is the GSTL?
King of the Hill.
Is it still King of the Hill?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an
it's
awesome
all
talk.
all kill kind of format.
All kill. I can't stand that. Never
Why?
mind. Let's
Whoa,
move on.
whoa, 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 whoa!
'Cause that's not
why?
really team.
Yeah,
That's not has nothing to
you
do with
could-
the team. Like we could argue that one for hours. You and I have to talk
3v3?
offline.
You
I
want,
can't stand that shit.
No.
No.
I mean, I
No,
think
no,
he's,
no.
I think he's looking for team tennis type of.
Yeah, where more people on the team actually have an impact on the final results, as opposed to one guy who just runs the table. So, you could have a team that's got one guy that's really, really good, and the rest of the team is pure shit. That doesn't make them the best team.
Yeah.
So calling it a
agree with
team league is ridiculous at that point if it's one person that got him to that format, or got him to that win. So anyway, there's lots of different formats I think should be looked at that might even make team leagues more viable, and the teams would be more interested in getting into. Because I think at this point they look at it. I mean, some of the smaller teams look at it. They usually will do like what they call clan wars or team wars. And they'll play a team war because they hope they have a chance for their team to kind of shine. But in reality, it's one guy that runs the table or something like that. And then most of the big teams won't join the team leagues because they don't see the point in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is an issue right now with with the all kill format. It just works out in GSTL because the players are just so good. So
Right.
a lot of them do end up getting to play anyway. So it
Right, because it very rarely
it
goes.
kind of yeah. I mean, a little bit in the form of just really good fortune that it ends up working out a lot of times that there's drama. But yeah, I think it would be kind of. I mean, I think to really assess who the best team is, it should be depth. And you should lay them out 1 through 7 and have them just battle it out. Where, like just look at a team like I don't know, EG or Team Liquid for instance. All those guys are pretty notable, right? So it'd be cool to see, instead of seeing Tasia or Hero just like annihilate a team, like seeing what Liquid Sheth or Liquid Red does in the fifth, the fourth, and fifth whatever spot. And have an impact on how the whole the results, just the outcome of the results, right? So, I mean, I think that's kind of cool. When you have notable players, I mean, if you have like a bunch of no-namers at the bottom, then it probably doesn't matter as much. But okay, I got another question here. Let's see. This guy's got a question for each one of us. So let's see how.
Like
should we do
separately?
this? Yeah, separately.
Impressive.
So should I just read out each of the questions first and then answer them? Let's do this. Okay, so first for Chanman, how did you really break into the producer host scene of StarCraft 2? Did you start out just playing? Yeah, so that's pretty much what I did. I mean, for those of you who've been watching, it's almost been a year now. Honestly, it's a kind of 1 year anniversary in like a couple weeks for Pro Corner, but. Yeah, I started out just taking lessons from basically some of the players like Machine and In Control and some of those guys, even Bitter at some point too.
Let's be honest here, Chris. You're still taking lessons from them. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy, please. From a playing standpoint, yeah, I mean, you're right.
Red Eyes in the chat.
But but anyways, I was taking lessons, coaching lessons from them, and then just kind of formalized it and turned it into a show, and it's kind of where I've been since then. And yeah, it's been fun, and it takes a lot. It takes more time than I originally thought. Actually, I thought once I had one show and then you just kind of replicate it would be like pretty easy, but no, that's not how it goes. Actually, it's.
Once I had one player, I could just get another one. It'd be easy too.
Exactly. But okay, let's see. The next person, we got ChanmanV. Who is your favorite person to cast with, and who do you think you cast the best with, and can you explain why they are two different things?
That's tough. I mean, all right. So, if I had to pick someone right off the top of my head who I have fun most casting with, it would be Grubby. Because, I mean, we've just cast so much together. And someone's like, $10 on Grubby. But it's like true, right? So if they think it as well, then we must be doing something right. Or they've just listened to me a lot. Anyway, the point is that there's that. I also think we're really good together. But I mean, after casting with Atosis this weekend, like normally when you're casting with someone new, there's like 1 or 2 games at the very beginning. You're like just getting used to each other and stuff. But like we got used to each other instantly. It was that we had such a good flow, or at least it felt like we had such a good flow.
Yeah, I did.
And I think the casts that we did over some of the series, I think, not to get big-headed or anything, but the casts we did made the series as well very, very good. They made, added a certain extra level of excitement to it. So I think me and Artosis were pretty darn strong together. Me and Apollo were pretty darn good together as well. But I think, like, the thing is, sometimes, because I'm not funny, I don't count myself as like a funny guy or a funny caster or anything like that. But like when I cast with Artosis, I just felt comfortable to the point where I could like throw some stupid jokes in, and they actually kind of worked. So
No, they always work when somebody with an English accent says them.
really,
It always sounds better.
yeah.
That's true.
They do. Every joke seems to sound a little better.
I don't
think.
know.
Unless it's dry European humor, like dry English humor. If it's like
that's normal for Brits, right? So
right. I'm just saying.
All right. Okay.
All right, John.
All right.
Your question. You're a veteran of the scene. Can you maybe speak a bit to why you are such a die-hard esports fanatic supporter or producer, and what keeps driving you to put out more content?
Well, content actually is something new for me.
Yeah, you don't actually put
because I was always behind the scenes. But I've actually learned, even through talking with you and others in the industry, the importance of kind of putting that content out there. But in terms of what keeps me going, I don't want to sit in a cubicle and do sales anymore. I've done that. I mean, I even had a nice office, overlooked the city and everything, and it was great. But I don't want to do that anymore. I love doing this. I love gaming. But I think most of the part, it's not that I love gaming, because I do. I mean, I will play, but I'm like very picky. Like I maybe play 3 or 4 games over the last few years, like more than once. It's the competition part of it that I like. So that's, I really like studying formats and leagues and ladders and events, the promotions and marketing of it, I guess. But kind of what keeps me going now is is making sure that I can help pay the bills and stuff. But
yeah, that's always important.
I've just been doing it for so long, and I haven't, I've worked a lot. I've done a lot of different things. As a graphic designer at a toy company, which I did really like that job. I was a carpenter for 3 years, and I actually really enjoyed that. But where was I going to go with that? I was going to be the head carpenter. In esports, it's such a small. It really is a small community, and it's a very small industry at this point. And so there's a lot of room. I mean, the problem is I'm 38, so I come off as some sort of creeper. Since, I mean, I started on the Commodore 64. I mean, I was playing video games before a lot of people in esports were, alive. So yeah, at least 3 of us here were. And I don't know.
Wait a minute.
What? You're not
He
that
is
old.
too.
Yeah.
Dude, I started on Commodore 64. Screw you.
What? How old are you, Claris?
I'm 24, but I still played a Commodore 64.
When he's a baby,
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
man.
no,
So
Europe's
you had to be
like.
a baby to play the
You had to be a baby,
64.
but then again, Europe's like 6 years behind in
Oh,
technology.
man.
So they just got the 64, Commodore 64. No, I love Europe. Sorry, dude. So I guess the only thing, I just keep going because this is what I love doing. So.
All right, Mark, your question, last one. How much time do you spend with your players, and how many are, I guess, people are on the Quantic staff, and can you break down what they do? I mean, I'm not sure how much of that you can answer, but whatever you can answer.
Well, I mean, there's multiple facets to the Quantic staff. I mean, we spend a lot of time with our players. We have full-time staff that do nothing but work with the players continually. As far as the staff breakdown, there's a leadership group of 10. That includes a director of sales and marketing, a director of media, 3 owners, director of press, creative, finance, and the team mom, and the player manager, esports director. And basically, 2 of those are full-time employees that basically work with the players or the partners. And then on top of that, there's the associated teams, like the press team, the promotions team, the media team, and the partner marketing. So all in all, like volunteer staff contingent is probably between 20 and 30, with a leadership team of around 9 or 10 people who at the core run the company.
Okay, great.
That's
All
a
right.
lot of people.
That is a lot of people. But it's a big team, too, so. Okay, Andrew Gibson has a question. What is your guys' opinion on sponsor-run events, such as the Red Bull Battlegrounds? Good or bad?
I don't see
Wait
how
a
it could-
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a trick question?
No, it's actually a
Yeah,
legit
that's, I
question.
don't even understand what the point of
Yeah,
the
I don't
question
think, I mean, it can't be bad, right? We probably
I mean,
wouldn't
like,
have an event if you have no
almost
sponsor.
all tournaments are run by sponsors, pretty much. Like, well, at
Exactly.
least in one way. I mean, they have like influence, right?
Right.
In
I think
terms-
he's more specifically asking you, like, the sponsor as the headliner or as the
Oh, as
organizer
the
of the
people,
event.
yeah,
So in
as
a
the
sense,
organizer, that's true.
you know, Red Bull was running it. Well, they were going to run more. Seriously, they had 4 other cities
Yeah.
after Texas, and we have heard nothing from them.
Well, it
I'm
started in
curious as to
Orlando,
why that
right?
is.
And then it was in
Yeah.
Texas, and then
I mean,
wasn't
Red
Seattle
Bull-
one? Wasn't it?
They were going to have Seattle. They were going to have Chicago.
Wait.
And they didn't.
Wasn't Red Bull Battlegrounds the one that Day 9 was like headlining and stuff? And
Yes, and it was a different
Yeah,
sort of
'cause-
format.
because I seem to remember talking to him, and he was like a lot in charge of that and running a lot of it. So,
Yeah, well, they brought him on. I believe it was them that brought him on, and then he has a team of people that were running that that have ran events. Or actually, I'm not sure they had ever run live events, but they put a team together of people to do it, and they put it on. But it was all under Red Bull's direction, I guess. I mean, they had a. So, I think this question more is sponsors actually doing it. Running the events as opposed to sponsoring IPL to run an event or ESL.
it's important that you have the people who know what they're doing, because 9.999 times out of 10 when people come in and say, we're going to run an event, a lot of things go wrong, like unless you've had those things go wrong time and time and time again for you in the past. And that's like why companies like ESL and stuff like that get hired out to do these events, because unbelievably we know what we're doing. Whoa. And so do all these other companies that are doing it nowadays, like IPL, etc. So I think that's probably better for sponsors to throw the money at that kind of thing in that direction, or at least that's how I see it.
Yep, agreed. It's kind of, I mean,
But
even
somehow
it goes for
the-
production too.
Somehow
Production.
the NASL sound guy gets hired at all of these events. How does that happen?
The NSL sound guy?
Yeah, he
He's
gets.
a
He seems to-
BWC apparently, wasn't he? I didn't hear, man. I was
Yeah,
on the
we
tail
didn't
end
hear
of this.
either, dude.
No? Oh, I see.
We heard too much. So. All right, question all from Resodox. This is the guy who makes the MP3s for us, guys. Why is there not more of a concerted effort by the teams and players to pressure Blizzard into delivering zero latency global play?
That one I can't answer, but I would say it's because they don't think they even have a chance to do anything with it. Because Blizzard's not going to fold on it. They're not going to change.
You guys know what happened to BWC, right, with that? Yeah? We have a localized server running
Yep.
here. Okay.
What happened? Oh no, it's no.
Wait a minute, keep going.
Continue. I know we had a localized server, but I think the only thing I saw of it was Slasher reported that there is actually some sort of LAN or whatever or local server that was being run there, and that's all I heard of it.
Like, Slasher basically, he took what because I was casting with Caldor as this was happening, right? So, he basically inferred from what Caldor was saying that we were announcing that Blizzard had a LAN there, which is not what we were saying. We were just saying that the players felt as if they had very, very little ping. Now, I spoke to a few of the players, and they had suspicions from the very beginning of their playing, like... Because, I mean, a lot of them have played tournaments, right? They know what lag feels like. They know what latency feels like.
Yeah.
They know how responsive stuff is. They've played games in the past that have had LAN. So I was talking to a few players, and they felt like it was, pretty negligible latency. So, I mean, inferring that's not what you want, but long story short, it's basically there, and I guess they just need to at least give it to tournaments. In my opinion,
I mean, like,
needs to be there.
I remember Wheat, whether it was on Live on 3 or ITG, like said not too long ago that, you know, they were talking about the same thing, and basically Wheat said that it's not even a secret that they have that. It's just, I think Blizzard only offers it to you if you have like a standing guard that just stands there and guards that server like the whole time or something like that. It was really bizarre actually, but I think it might be right. Given what
I remember something coming out like that, but I mean, it just seems odd.
I mean, we're talking about LAN, but I think the original question had more to do with,
sorry,
you know, just having it, you know, just a consistent latency was consistent from a global standpoint, so that you know, like Korea. Because at one point there was in the beta, I remember that there was not. I mean, latency was pretty consistent, like from all over the globe. So I think that's what they're talking about. Like, it seems to be possible. So I think that would fix. I mean, that would make online, I think, tournaments a lot more viable too.
I'm under the impression when global play gets added to HOTS, then they'll redo this kind of thing. I can't remember 100% what it was, but you're right. In the beta, there was something that helped that a lot. So I'm assuming with global play comes the ability to not have 2-second lag to Korea from Europe.
Yeah, and that way, like, folks in the U.S. can play on the Korean ladder, or there isn't a Korean ladder. Maybe there's just a big ladder or something in that regard. I don't know. All right, any other questions, guys? You guys looking on stream chat here? I'm trying to.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We're watching someone else play. One guy says, "Anyone else find more entertainment watching somebody play a video game than playing yourself?" Actually, what do y'all guys think of that? Do you guys have more fun watching these days than playing?
I'm both ways.
Watching a tournament, I might, where there's something on the line and there's competition to it. But like tuning in to watch somebody run through a new game. Well, maybe if it's a new game, I might. But just run through a game that either I played or they're just streaming their play. No, doesn't interest me.
I think a lot of us like grew up with this though, right? Like if we've been gamers for a long time, like for me, I had a brother who was always there all the time, and you know, we didn't have 2 TVs and 2 consoles all the time, so we'd take it in turns. He'd play and I'd sit back and just watch, and I am so content and so happy just sitting back and watching some people play. Just, I mean, I like it both ways. So, yeah.
How about you, Mark? How often do you get to play now, Mark?
Not very.
Not very. I remember you were playing some StarCraft 2. Like, not. I mean, there were nights that you were playing StarCraft 2 for a while, but yeah, for me, I think it's pretty equal these days. But it doesn't. It's the problem with. I mean, the thing with watching is it's not just, you know, it's not just limited to watching why I get enjoyment out of it. It's more that, you know, it's like either you're watching like somebody you know, like a friend playing, or it's, I don't know, maybe even there's some social aspect to it, to chatting. And so it's a little bit combination of that when it comes to watching for me. And tournaments obviously are a separate thing too. But it's pretty even for me. I wouldn't have said that like a year ago though. Like a year ago, playing would have been way more fun. But it's pretty close now.
Do you think that's a problem though?
Is it a problem?
Is it a problem?
No, actually, if anything,
in esports, if more people are just watching as opposed to playing.
Well, that's the thing. It shouldn't be. I mean, that's kind of what we want in the end. We want more people that don't, we don't necessarily have to leverage the user base. We want people that want to watch our sport more so than they have to play it to understand it, right? So.
Right. No, I agree. I was just asking. I'm just curious what the thought is.
Yeah, that's at least my thought. Okay, here's a question from GF Festers 1. Which foreign teams can afford the $90K to join Kespa League or Pro League? Kespa League.
Quantic can.
Definitely.
Don't you have $90K? You're ready to pony up for that, Mark?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm trying to get him excited here, but he's definitely.
He's putting out fires right now, I think.
Yeah, putting out fires.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, Mark. You were the one that told me not to respond to things.
Well, no, but this is just a miscommunication issue. This isn't like a accusation.
Something else.
Yeah, right.
okay.
This is just
Okay.
like a.
Is it on
Like,
League Reddit?
They gave somebody else a tag. They took somebody else's team tag that without even telling us they were taking somebody else's team tag. So it's just like a.
Huh, that's team tag.
So
Team tag.
yeah. I mean, it's not like it's our fault. It just so happens that it's our team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cozy121. Have any of you played Heart of the Swarm? And if yes, what are your thoughts? I know John hasn't, but
I haven't.
have you played much?
Yeah, I mean, not too much because obviously my job is still wall, right? And until Heart of the Swarm actually stabilizes, there's not really much point for me to, play a lot of it. So, I mean, I want to play more of it, but I mean, anytime I end up logging onto it, I just make 5 oracles and run around and snipe hatcheries. Have they changed that yet? Is that
You
is
know,
that
you can
thing?
still do that.
Yeah. All
You
right.
can still
Okay.
do that.
It's pretty retarded. So, yeah, there's still stuff that they need to tweak, I think.
Yeah, but the fact that they've set a date now, I feel like, there will be a time where people will, there will be I think a huge switchover, and I'm already seeing some of the players starting to, like, very few, but you can kind of see the beginnings of it. And, I even thought myself, even for my other show, Pro Corner, to start switching over to Heart of the Swarm, probably at the latest by the new year. So,
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I don't think it'll even be stable by then. I don't think it'll be stable by release, personally, but I'm under the impression that, I mean, Wall came along and there was a lot of imbalances, right? So
yeah, it doesn't have to be stable.
That's the router thing then.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I don't even think that the balance issues are an issue though, because
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
mean,
have to be balanced.
honestly, if
Yeah.
the metagame stabilizes and everything's in balance, then Blizzard will just release a patch to throw the metagame off again, and everybody has to adapt. That's the whole point of having a different champion every day, is to have a game that's like has
Flex.
exploitations,
Yeah,
right? And then they
flex.
fix one exploitation and create another. I mean, like to a certain degree, it's the art is in the level of change and the adaptation to that level of change more so than it is, like making every weapon, the M60 and the FAMAS have the same damage. Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean,
I've never understand this whole idea that things are imbalanced. I mean, ultimately, you just find a new way to win.
No, I
That's
mean
just
the
me,
concept of being imbalanced is correct. I mean, there is some.
everybody did 1-1-1 for a whole year, and then we figured it out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not to say that the game isn't image. I mean, the meta is obviously hasn't matured to the point where, like, say, Brood War is, right? Brood War, I think you could say, like, people have explored everything with that, so the meta is the way it is, right? I mean, just like I think the best meta is kind of what's in place, but yeah, with Wings of Liberty, I don't think it's completely explored yet. But the concept of imbalance is, it's a real one. I mean, you can have an imbalanced game. I mean,
Like,
No, I
come on,
understand
Chris.
that. I mean,
Chris, you are totally OP. You're way imba. You're imba, bro.
Way overpowered.
So there's an IMBA question from Wiedemans.
Yes, you want to read that one? I knew you would want to read that one.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you guys about having a pro license and having organizations pay those pro players are given, example, $500 for showing up, even if they are forced into the open brackets. This would be taken out of the prize pool. It would give organizations more power in the sense of getting teams and players to show up at their events compared to other events like IPL. It would solve Mark's complaining about team owners not being subsidized for flying their players to events. The pro license can be given out to all pro teams and only a handful of individuals that are teamless, for example, Grubby. These licenses can be given to organizations or by player association run by the top teams.
So where are these organizations we're talking about giving out these licenses?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely an idea. I don't know about the whole like exclusivity of the licenses to the top teams. Although, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that to a certain degree that could be arguably beneficial. But I mean, I think that having a certain allocation of the prize pool that is dedicated to, player travel
Expenses,
is a really key element to this. I'm really interested to see what Blizzard's going to do, actually, because I mean, I can't imagine that Blizzard's just going to like sit there idly while Riot, gets into the team subsidy business and just rolls right on by. I think it's inevitable that Blizzard does something with, well, that's with the tournaments, with the teams, with the players, or something. I'm not too sure what.
In an
What if?
ideal world, Mark, what would you want Blizzard to do in this regard?
like maybe 5, 10, 15% of what Riot's doing.
Hmm.
Like, you know, maybe some kind of a situation where, you know, there's like, if you're gonna, you know, there's some rules around how the prize pool is divided, and, you know, what goes towards player stipends for travel and things like that, you know.
So some structure. Some more
structure,
structure
right?
and
I
organization.
really want to
in how
see the
this is all-
publishers kind of govern these games. You know, I really do. That's
Really?
what I want to
You
see.
really
I
wanna
want to
see
see the
that?
Man,
Wow.
I think that's a bad road to go down.
I don't know if I love that.
I think
I don't
League's
necessarily.
going down
I don't
that
want to
road.
see the. I don't want to see the publishers own everything. That's not what I want to see.
Yeah,
like
that's-
I like democratized StarCraft, but what I'm saying is that I think that having the publishers say, okay, this is the unified point structure. This is how, you know, like, if you're going to broadcast our game, this is what you need to do, or whatnot. You know, like, this is how.
Well, that
players
makes
need to be
sense because then
treated.
it forces all the other organizations to follow that rule in order to use their game. And instead of relying on DreamHack, IEM, and MLG getting together to come up with that, the publisher comes out of the gate and says, okay, if you're going to run our games, this is the sort of level of quality that we want, which is a lot what Riot has done now. They saw a
Exactly.
lot of events happening that said, man, the level of the quality of presenting our game to the community and to others is just pure shit. We want to step in, and this is what we expect. So, for instance, Lone Star Clash, they were at the event, and they were working just as hard as everyone else, setting up the stage and everything. They were working just as hard in making sure that what was going to be presented to the world, in a sense, was quality that they wanted, and they were part of deciding on the rules. You know, they were instrumental in helping get the teams. So I can understand exactly what you're saying. I still think at some point it's got to be hands off and let the organizations run it, because then we'll just get into a publisher versus publisher thing, and it'd be a huge mess.
Publisher versus publisher.
Well, we'll
quite-
start having to choose, and publishers will say, you know, and it's inevitable that will happen is Riot will say, if you have a team, you're only going to play with Riot. Your team cannot play in a Valve Dota 2 tournament.
See,
Now,
I don't think that Blizzard's going to do that. Just because of the way that they've had a hands-off kind of democratized approach to things. But I mean, what I do think is what I would like to see from Blizzard is them to say, okay, look, you know, MLG and all these guys, you know, they're not the ones making the rules. If you're going to broadcast our IP, you're going to do this way, and there's going to be these events that are going to earn points or whatever, and this is the way the travel stipends are going to work, and maybe even get involved with funding some of that, you know. But I mean, like I said, that's all hopes and dreams. I mean, it's so really hard to tell what is going on for sure. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's just, I think it's assumable that if I were in Blizzard's position, right, I would say, okay, well, you know, these guys are putting X millions of dollars into this, and our revenue model doesn't necessarily support that, but I mean, we have to do something, right?
Yeah. So what do you see? Another question is, what do you see happening in 2013? And I guess I will elaborate on that. Like, how, you know, in the landscape of things, what do you think will be? What do you think we'll see in 2013 from a tournament just tournaments, and from a team standpoint?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool, great. Obviously, I mean, with the collaboration between ESL, MLG, and DreamHack and those guys, obviously we're going to see more unified tournament structures and stuff like that. But I think ultimately, I mean, to echo what Mark's saying here, we'll probably end up seeing Blizzard, working together with these guys to end up making these, like WCS, for example. I'm under the impression, and I'm almost certain in the fact that it's going to be restructured to accommodate to potential other tournaments. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, there's got to be some accommodation of somebody in StarCraft too, because the thing is just ridiculous to the point of being, you know, insane. Like it's insane. I mean,
what do you mean though? Like, what you mean? WCS is insane, or just the tournament structure in general, like everything?
Oversaturation? Or
there's
anything?
too many.
Yeah.
Too
Okay.
many, and the level of exposure that you're getting incrementally from a partner return value perspective is far too low to justify the travel expense alone.
I think, like, in terms of the tournament structure from MLG, ESL, and Dreamhack perspective, I think that in 2013 things will be a little bit more condensed in the ways. I don't think there'll be as many ridiculous dates all over the place. And also, with that, if Blizzard ends up embracing that the structure between these three partners and maybe other people as well, then you take away those nationals, which for me is kind of scary because that's the essence of what WCS was. But if you implement that into what we're doing in terms of IEMs, DreamHacks, MLGs in a point system, then I guess there can be little dynamics around that. I still really, really hope to God, though, that if they do that, then they can somehow retain that national pride element of it.
I mean, it can be a totally separate thing, the WCS. Like,
I don't think they want to go down that route anymore.
Really?
That's the impression I get, and I've been involved in this for quite a lot. Like, to me, I loved the tournament structure. I thought it was awesome, but I think everyone wants to integrate it more. I think everyone does, from what I see from all angles. So, I don't know.
That's too bad. I mean, because I agree that it does need to consolidate, and hopefully there will be less tournaments for the sake of the teams, honestly. But I mean, I really liked the whole country representation and what the WCS ended up being.
Well,
Yeah.
again, and I think we touched on this before. Any sort of collaboration, at least in my mind, what I've wanted to see is that the tournaments can still remain the same as they were before as far as their identity. They can do things slightly different. Their formats can be different. But you just organize it from you put a structure in place that allows these organizations to have their own identity and to be doing their own thing, but somehow it's collaborated. The schedule's collaborated. Some of the rules are collaborated. How the payment structure is paid out. I mean, there, maybe some sort of agreement that X number of dollars from each event is put aside so that all the organizations get together and throw some huge circuit final or something. I mean, I think structure. There can still be structure. There can be structure in place, and still each organization, each event can have its own identity. Still, I think. Oh, that's
All
quiet.
right. Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like James, you're gonna have to take off, right? He's got a tournament to cast tomorrow, so he's gonna take a little early. We might take a couple more questions after he goes, but yeah. Why don't we let you sign off, bud? Do you want to have any shout-outs you want to do real quick?
Not really, just shout-outs to you guys. Thanks for bringing me on. I appreciate it a lot. It's been a long few days traveling back from Singapore. My changing flight was in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, so I'm like,
Oh my god.
I wasn't best pleased with that. Everyone else changed in Paris or Amsterdam. I changed in Abu Dhabi. Great. So
How long was your layover there, though?
it was only like 2 and a bit hours. So
Oh, okay.
it wasn't too bad, but still. And the one great thing about Singapore was our hotel was like in the airport, so there's none of that annoying having to travel there and like get everything sorted out and dick around there for ages. It was like check in, go back to the hotel, swimming pool, bye. So it was all right. It was all right.
Nice. But all right, buddy. Well, it was fun hanging out with you, and always a pleasure. You're always welcome on the show whenever, man. And
Thank you very much.
it will be. I'll try to catch some of your casting tomorrow. Should be good. Is it going to be actually shown
yeah.
tomorrow or no?
Yeah, me and Day 9 tomorrow. Iron
Okay.
Squid 2 group
Alright, good
with
stuff.
Symbol. Who else do we have? Symbol, Alive. Oh god, I wrote up a huge thing. Symbol, Alive, Hero, and Golden. There you go. Quantic Golden. There you go, Mark. Good stuff. Oh, that's already been played. It's something from replays, but
Oh,
still.
it's from
it's
replays.
good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
I haven't
bud.
seen the-
Exactly. All right, dude. We will see you next time then, man.
Thanks,
Later.
James.
Later.
Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.
All right.
Hey, somebody had another question. Why, are you done? We got 28 minutes
No,
left.
no. Go ahead. That's it. Go ahead.
Oh.
Ask. Yeah.
mouzKaelaris is his name. He says, as a spectator and esports fan, the idea of coalition between the major leagues organizations sounds like a terrible thing. Without them competing against each other, you will kill the need for innovation. The problem is an accurate point system between all the leagues, blah, 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 blah. Basically what he says there, he's bringing up the rankings point thing, and hopefully Red Eye's still in the channel because I want to point this out, is that this guy makes a perfect point that any sort of rankings that requires the players, and this Mark should be like, yeah, I would hate that because I don't want to have to send my players to every event if I don't want to. But any sort of ranking system that's based on any sort of raw points total where you earn points by simply going to events, the shit will hit the fan because that will be the most ridiculous thing that they can do. So I agree with Colodis is his name, and there are different ways to do the ranking systems, which I have. Red Eye is here. Okay, so good. That's good. I just would hate to see that because that would stifle, I think, growth for players. Because if you don't have the money to send the player to every event, then you don't get the points, and then you're insignificant, no matter if you did well in one tournament or not. So I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, I think that they've approached Red Eye and maybe some others on ideas for ranking systems, and I just don't see that happening. If it does, I might flip tables myself, but we'll see.
Cool. Beyond Yep says I faced me last night in 2v2, and I didn't play any 2v2 last night, so must be a different person.
Somebody's trolling as you.
Exactly.
There's another question. Somebody had, do you think female StarCraft 2 players are given special benefits because of their sex? I want to understand what he means by special benefits, though. I mean
they're known because of the...
Yeah, but I don't see they're not giving benefits. Like, they don't get to skip around because they're female.
God, you're getting technicalized.
No, but that's why
yes.
I'm asking. What does he mean by that? I mean, is that what he thinks, or is he just saying special treatment? I imagine he's just saying meaning.
They get more attention. I mean, that's probably what.
Of course they do.
That's probably what.
99% men.
Yeah, well, and I think the typical complaint about female gamers is that there are better male equivalent players, yet these females are getting on teams, but it's obvious the reason why they're. It's more of a marketing issue, or it's a female. If you need a female representative, on your team, I mean.
Right.
I think it's unfortunate that there are not more tournaments for females to play in that are specifically geared towards female players. I mean, that's.
I was just going to comment on that. Red Eye just mentioned that.
Yeah, Zoe
he thinks it's silly.
He thinks
but look, the bottom line is still last MLG, Flo went through the open bracket. She made it to round 5, and she took some games off in control and stuff like that. I mean, and she's really good, but I mean, in the Zowie tournament or whatever, she came in second place, I think. So. Yeah,
but the Zoe Davina, that tournament you're talking about with Aphrodite and her, it did decently, right, from a viewer standpoint. I mean, it wasn't bad.
Oh, there's no question people want to watch female players play. I don't think there's any question about that. Mm-hmm. I just think that there lacks a venue or league system for them to actually do that, and it's unfortunate. But I mean, everybody wants to have 15 Codesk Koreans instead. So
yeah. So I guess in a way, to answer your question, I mean the point of female gamers these days seem to be more about marketing than about I guess having them really compete against the guys. I mean, there are very few.
I'm gonna bite my tongue on this one.
I mean, Scarlet's competing, but yeah, so that's a tough question. I wish there were more female leagues too. I think that would be really cool. I mean, they did a show match. Was it yesterday or the day before between the two StarTale? Aphrodite and oh gosh, who's the other one? Mark, you should know this. The two StarTales female players. It's Aphrodite and
the Chinese one.
Yeah, I'm totally drawing.
Yeah, that's the name's on the tip of my tongue. But
Miss, yeah, StarTale Miss. How'd that go? Does anybody know? What was the viewership on that? Obviously, the girl. Both of the girls are obviously they're cute girls too, so that obviously helps. But Does anybody in the chat know how it actually did? Well, let's see if anybody got a chance to watch it. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but yeah, Aphrodite is good. She is actually quite good. She's almost made it. She's like tried to qualify for Code A like multiple times, and she's almost gotten it. She goes mech like every single game, though, I have to say. But oh, Code B. Sorry, Code B. All right. Any other questions, guys? We should. Let's see. I have a question. Do you guys think StarCraft 2 esports will have a boost in viewership once Heart of the Swarm? Yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions that we typically get. Yeah, I think it'll be a boost in viewership. I don't think it'll be like Wings of Liberty was when it first came out with beta. But we'll definitely get a boost in interest and players and thus viewers whenever Heart of the Swarm does launch.
No, there'll be more stories, I think, for sure. Like who's switching over, how are the games looking, who's beating who. That will help a lot, I think.
Yeah. I pronounce it Aphrodite. What are you talking about, Jan? I know my Greek mythology. Let's see. Any other questions here? Do you guys think there will be an interest in Wings of Liberty after Heart of the Swarm comes out? Will you, as sponsors, support Wings of Liberty? I'm not a sponsor, but I think once Heart of the Swarm comes out, there'll be very little support or very little interest in Wings of Liberty.
So you think people will just move on? It'd be a mass migration?
Yeah, I think it'll just switch over because I think Blizzard's going to want people to switch over. So,
well, yeah.
And it doesn't matter, like we just said
$6
earlier.
game.
It doesn't matter like what the state of the game really is, just as long as people are playing it, and there's just going to be crazy strategies, going to be a ton of cheesy strategies and exploitive strategies, but that's just part of the game early on in a release. So, what strategy do you use, John?
What? I don't even know how to answer that. What?
Do you
what kind
use
of
skin moisturizer?
I actually do put on lotion on my skin, but that's it. Why am I answering that?
You answer all the questions here.
I do answer, but then I'm old. Yeah, red eye. I do put lotion on because I am old. I'm getting old, and it helps with the wrinkles and stuff.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, so do you feel it's good or bad to implement a lot of the arcade part? Wait, what is that? Arcade part into StarCraft, or does it hurt the game as an esport if the player base don't play the actual game as much? I mean, I don't think any of the arcade UMSs will ever be like an esport. Even though some of them could be interesting, but I don't think that will ever have an effect on the esport player base. They just play them for fun at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, when we define esports, I mean, to me, it's those that are playing like really, like they're playing competitively. So if you say I'm an esports player, it doesn't mean you can't go play those arcade games and stuff and still have fun. But I don't think it affects those that are really competitive are always going to continue to play whatever game's the most competitive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing that I know, like talking to some of the players, that they don't get a chance to really play, just goof around very much anymore. When it comes to StarCraft at least, right? Some of them try to play some customs, but a lot of them, are just always streaming or always just grinding. So it's kind of refreshing whenever they get a chance to play. And I'm actually going to be starting a new show. It's supposed to be this week, but it's just the schedule's just so crazy that I just keep putting it off. So it's going to be next Wednesday, guys, and it has a lot to do with the arcade. It's going to be like 4 of us playing arcade games and kind of rating the games. It's just kind of a fun type of show that I'm putting together.
What's the name of that show going to be, Chris?
It's Wednesday Night Sprites, and it's going to be...
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's going to be me and Tempo and Living Pink and Machine, all just playing games, so it should be fun. Do you think gambling on StarCraft 2 should be promoted more for adult viewers, like Real Sports?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I'm kind of. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent to it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't like the idea of gambling on esports yet. I don't think we're there yet. Is he saying? I mean, fake betting maybe, but it should be promoted
Fake
more for
betting?
adult
I mean, that's
viewers
not-
like real sports. Well, I mean, somebody else mentioned fake betting. I said maybe fake betting. You know, there's a lot of sites that have like fake betting. You get money and stuff. That's kind of fun,
Yeah, like
but
liquid bets and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
I really don't like the idea. And I love playing poker and gambling. Well, I don't love it, but I mean, I really enjoy it. I'm not sure that it would change anything. I don't think adult viewers would tune in more if they could do that. If they could gamble on StarCraft 2, because again, they'd still have to try to understand the game. And I just don't think they would. But I really don't like the idea of gambling yet.
What do you think, Mark?
See.
Actually, on gambling?
You know, I think
never
it's a
asked you
slippery.
that, yeah.
It's a slippery slope, man. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the more you load the incentive structure for this thing in any way, you know, it's gonna, cause all kinds of unintended consequences. So,
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of that, somebody mentioned it, and I saw something about this today. Maybe you guys know more about it, but Akrat says implement gambling on esports and then watch Rhett throw more games because his friend bet a bunch on him losing. What is this about? I want to hear this. I mean, I saw that he
Rhett.
was suspended.
Yeah. So the whole thing was, it was in DreamHack, and Liquid Red was, it was in group play, and there was after day one, there was like a very small chance that he could, he could still make it through. Really, really small chance. A lot of things had to go his way, and one of the things, in DreamHack, they take into account every game you win and lose, right? It kind of goes towards
Absolutely.
tiebreakers, right? So he had to basically win every one of his games against I forgot who it was. I think it was Hero, or it was one of his teammates, right, at the time. And he lost the first one, and he was pretty. He didn't throw it on purpose or anything like that. It wasn't like that. It's so much, like to let his let his teammate go through or anything like that. It was more that he was just really bummed, really emotionally upset about just not doing well in the tournament. Like after he lost that first game, so he was out of the tournament at that point, that he just, he did some silly strategies in the second one, like just building hatcheries everywhere on the map, that sort of thing. Just, stuff you would never do unless you're just
Right.
goofing off. And so that's basically what happened. And, some people got upset about it, which, in the end, it didn't really matter, but that's kind of not the point. But so Liquid ended up suspending him.
Was that and the reason I asked this is because it's going to go back to the proper format, but was that the last game in group play?
Yeah, I think it was the last game in group play.
Okay.
And again, he had a chance. It's just like he had
Did
a chance in
they-
that first game. So
And I didn't check this, and sometimes I do when I'm checking Wikipedia, but do they play all of the, like for instance, let's say Group A has 4 players in it.
yeah.
Do they set it up so that those 4 players play their last game at the same time as opposed
No,
to
I think
different
it
time?
was alternated.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, and that's what
I
ended up
still
happening.
don't understand why, especially a European group like Dreamhack would not figure that out.
Yeah.
The last game should always be played at the same time. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
That would
that's-
eliminate a lot of problems.
Actually, and that's kind of what happened. Like going into the day, he still had a chance, but by the time he played, I don't think
He
he
already
knew.
knew.
I don't think he actually knew when he was playing, but he didn't really have a chance to. I mean, it didn't affect anything in the end, but still,
Right.
I don't think he knew that. And then,
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have been suspended if there wasn't something. And I like Rhett. I mean, I've met him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's quiet. It's not like I can talk to him a lot, but.
Yost is great.
Part of the problem, though, is people in this chat seem to think there's still such thing as meaningless games. And the more that we think that, the more that players are going to think they can get away with just blowing games, just fucking around on games. Sorry, I get passionate about this. But they think they can just start screwing around on games that they think don't matter, but they always matter. They matter to the fans, they matter to the organization, they matter to the legitimacy of the event, to the format. And somebody's saying that he said he threw the game. So that's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just
No,
ridiculous.
He didn't. okay, here's the thing. Okay, I mean, he didn't like purposely throw the games. I mean, this is getting, this is not as big a deal as I think everybody's making out. He was really emotional and just didn't want to play anymore. I mean, because he was just out of it. So it was kind of a meaningless game scenario. And Rhett's apologized for this already, like on Reddit and everywhere else. So it's not, and Team Liquid just felt like, just along the lines of kind of what I forgot. I mean, it's kind of like the conduct of how they are supposed to be at tournaments, meaning that they should play every game as if it was, like with just at least play the games out. You know what I mean? To for whatever reason, sportsmanship. You can call it whatever you want, but
right.
But he's he signed something or he's committed to that, at least in terms
like
of
a conduct
like
contract.
a conduct kind of contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Team Liquid ended up suspending him. But
well, that's good for them if they felt that it wasn't what they expected from a player. I think that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what that was. And anything else, guys? Why don't we take 2 more and then we'll call it a day. Adabeasty's explaining it. Thanks, Mike. We got to get you on the show sometime, Mike. Now that you're on Too Good Show, man, it's never gonna happen. Bastard. Had to join the Too Good Show. Okay, let's see. Okay, isn't sort of a punishment on the fans suspending Rhett from IPL 5 when the fans went to watch him play? No, it doesn't have anything to do with
the fans don't shouldn't dictate necessarily the format or legitimacy of an event. It's unfortunate because I know a lot of people do follow Rhett. I mean, there's a lot of people that like him. He's he's a really nice guy.
Oh, Rhett's a great guy, and he's really super popular. So,
and it is unfortunate, but that's kind of. I mean, he should look at that and go, man, I really, not only did I disappoint Team Liquid, but it really disappointed my fans because I didn't just finish the game and try my hardest and no matter what the end result was going to be, I should have went out there and showed my fans, who I was. And that's why I think it's just a slippery slope as we've had this conversation before, and there's so many people on Team Liquid threads and stuff that are like, oh, but it's a meaningless game, it means nothing, it doesn't change the results. Well, screw that. It affects a lot more than just the results, and I think it's really important. And maybe it's because I have a 14-year-old son who, I need to instill that mentality into him, that you always give it your best, you always put 100% into it no matter what the end result might be. Maybe I'm just an old guy with kids, and I think that way. But I've always thought that way.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, as far as that is an important thing to. It's more professionalism, right, from that standpoint than anything else when it comes to that. But
right.
I do want to make a comment in regards to just Red obviously being a situation that we're talking about, but it's kind of indicative to, as to how much stress this type of schedule is on the players too. I mean, look, obviously we were at Austin, right? And Rhett didn't have a great run from Austin, and he actually left Austin early too. So I mean, it just kind of gets you frazzled sometimes. Just this type of flying all over the place, playing like every single weekend, like 5 weekends in a row type of craziness, and it wears these players down. So it's. It's kind of like Mark was saying, that it's just hard for the teams. It's hard for the players, too, to do this, I think. So we should hopefully be more appreciative of both teams and players here.
Somebody else said that to me the other day, too, about it wears players down. And again, maybe this is just my mentality is probably mostly just because of the way I grew up and what I thought. But I definitely understand the idea of, having to travel a lot and what it does to your body. And it does suck. But you're a competitor, and somebody else is going to step up. So complaining and whining and crying about having to travel a bunch, not in Mark's case. I mean, Mark has a legitimate reason. I mean, it's money. But I'm saying a player that is always like, well, I was overly tired. Most of the time it's because you spent too much time partying, drinking, staying up late, and didn't get proper sleep. I mean, you didn't take it serious enough. I mean, really, I see that way too much, and it just bothers me to no end. All these people talking about how they're so tired and there's so many events and they're really sorry about it. They, just give it your best and take the results as they are. I don't know. It's just me. I was going off on a tangent, on a rant.
Right. Well, all right, guys. Why don't we call it? I think we answered like crap load of questions today, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that, because I know a lot of you folks don't get a chance to call in, or we always run out of time. There's always like a few folks that are left after the show with just open-ended questions that we didn't get a chance to get to. So, maybe we'll do this from time to time. It's kind of a good thing, I think, for them to ask whatever they want to ask. But why don't we call it a show and do some shout-outs at this point. John, you got any shout-outs you want to do?
Yeah, I do actually. I have a shout out to everyone in esports that is trying to make a difference in things that they're doing, and those that have reached out and supported the things that I've done and will continue to support the interests that I have and the drive that I have to continue to help grow esports, and I really appreciate that. So that's my shout out.
Cool. Mark, you got any shout-outs?
Absolutely. Thanks to the team, Quantic, and all of our sponsors and partners, specifically Razer, Twitch, Machinima Versus, DB Vision, MaxFrag, and our partner team StarTel, and also a big thanks to Alienware for powering our training house.
Awesome. Yeah. My shout-outs, big thanks to obviously Kaelaris for coming on last minute. Obviously you two guys for always co-hosting the show with me, and it's always fun to be doing these great shows. Want to big shout out to all the folks that retweeted today, and a lot of just friends and supporters of the show. I feel like particularly retweeted the episode today. So big thanks to you guys and all the folks that came in to the stream chat and just had a really great conversation and asking all the great questions you did today. It's always great to see that. It's what we do this show is we want you guys to. We want to give you guys information that no other show gives you. So hopefully you guys enjoy that and appreciate that. Let's see. The VODs for the show are going to be up really soon. I'm going to upload it right after this, and then and Resodox I think is going to be getting the MP3 ready too at the same time. So hopefully we'll have the VOD and MP3 ready for you in the matter of 45 minutes to an hour. So if you guys missed any of it, you can check it out. Next week, who we got next week? Actually, I don't think I've got confirmed guests quite yet next week, but should be good. And let's see, tomorrow I'm going to be doing Pro Corner tomorrow instead of Thursday because IPL is going to be on Thursday. So check out Pro Corner. It's going to be a night show. It's going to be old school. It's going to be machine coaching me, old school, one-on-one. So it's going to be one of those original formats for Pro Corner. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. But that's going to be it for Climbing the Ladder this week. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace, guys.